Let's get to read on all this from Bill Johnson. He ran Kraft Heinz for a good many years, very successful CEO, arguably considered one of the greats of the last few decades. Bill, you would deal with these pricing pressures. Regardless of what the catalyst or the cause is, it's fair to say we're already at the point where this has gone beyond temporary or transitory. It does seem to be gaining traction. Does it worry you?
Very much, Neil. And the good news is that the chairman of the Fed will eventually be right. It will someday be transitory. It's just not today. You know, we're seeing pressures that we've never seen before, even across the entire food chain. Simple things like container costs coming out of Europe or China in terms of bringing in materials, costs for freight, costs for fuel, which everyone just sees as a gasoline price, but ultimately dictates the price we pay for packaging, particularly plastic packaging. It's having a huge impact. And the one thing I can tell you about CPG companies in general is when one or two start pricing, the whole group recognizes the need and takes the opportunity to start pricing. And the difference this time that I think is really important, I think the industry itself and most consumer industries have lacked pricing power over the last 2 or 3 decades. I think that pricing power is returning, at least in the short term. So it may be transitory to the Fed and the administration, but it's certainly not transitory to people going to the grocery store.
So let me get your take on where this goes. I mean, obviously, all the consumer product giants from Kimberly-Clark, Cargill, we've seen that at Clorox, have telegraphed price hikes are still coming down the road. Most of them are saying right now that consumers are dealing with that. They don't love it. Even Shake Shack is saying with its third planned price hike for burgers, each one about a 25-cent increase for each time it's been doing it. People are still buying their burgers. Things break off when that chain breaks, when people say, enough already. Are we close to the enough already point?
No. And two things happen, Neil. One is from a stimulus standpoint, one is from a consumer standpoint. Eventually what happens is somebody decides there's an opportunity to gain some market share by reducing price and thereby creating pressure in the market on a competitive basis. And so they may gain a few pieces of points of share, and then somebody reacts, and the next thing you know, we're in a downward spiral. And that's what's historically happened to the CPG group. From a consumer standpoint, the consumers are not.
By the way, you're talking about consumer packaged goods when you mentioned CPG, correct?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes. Consumer packaged goods companies, basically the people that provide all the products you see in the grocery store and at
I'm sorry,
retailers.
continue that thought.
That's all right. From a consumer standpoint, I think the consumer has not reached that point yet. I think they're in the griping stage and the complaining stage, and I think appropriately, but I don't think they're in the stage yet where they're ready to revolt, primarily, Neil, because they've been cooped up so long in the last 12 to 18 months that they're seeing an opportunity to get out, and they're willing to spend the money. They recognize there's labor shortages, which is creating price pressures and cost pressures. So I don't think we've reached that point. We will reach that point, but I think we're a ways away from there.
Could one of the things that ameliorates this, ironically, one of the things that the markets don't want to see, a slowdown in the return to work, return to the great opening of the economy because of these spikes in cases, that it will slow things down. It will affect restaurants and businesses that now are facing demands that they make sure their customers are vaccinated or testing negative, wearing masks, et cetera, that it could slow down the demand side of the equation enough to slow down this inflationary spiral. What do you think?
Well, it'll slow down the away from home. It won't slow down the at home. In fact, the converse will be the case. It'll accelerate it, and like it was, say, 6-7 months ago. And so the price pressures will still remain because primarily the supply chains still haven't caught up with the ability to process all the demand. So as the demand increases, you're going to see supply chain shortages accelerate. And as a result, I think you'll continue to see significant pricing pressures. I'll tell you the other thing that's going to come out of this, Neil, in my view, over the next 18 months or so, even though there's 10 million job openings right now, a lot of manufacturers are going to realize that they are now under such price pressure or cost pressure that the cost of automating, the cost of deploying capital in place of labor is probably at a break-even or even a plus perspective. And so I think what you're going to start seeing is automation increase over the next, say, I would say 12 to 18 months, which will replace labor. So as we have our next downturn, then I think the job situation is going to reverse, and then we're going to have another interesting quandary about how we address this. But the one thing that is clear to me, and this isn't a political statement because I try to stay away, but the administration, this one, and frankly, part of the last one, basic economics just aren't in deep supply in these places. And every time I hear somebody talk about this, I just sort of shake my head and say to myself, I wish they'd go to the grocery store and walk down the aisles and see consumers as they pull up one or two products and look at the price and look at the size and so forth, and then sort of shake their heads. And then I think maybe there might be some reality that sets in, and maybe we'll see some political and policy differences.
Yeah, I always marveled at you in the days when you were running everything there, how much you knew at first hand, the price of almost everything. I'm clueless on this stuff. A gallon of milk, if I saw it for $50, I would say that seems a little steep. But you,
as I said to you once before, Neil, you need to walk the aisles. That's where you really learn.
No, by the way, you're absolutely right on that. I say in jest what I think our politicians forget in earnest. That you really have to see what the American people are experiencing, because inflation to them is very, very real, because it is real. Bill Johnson, the former Kraft Heinz, it is painful, and it's playing out as we speak. Thank you very, very much.